in the back. This here is a computer area that's also inside the library. This is one of the lecture halls. We have 2 lecture halls in each of the classroom wings. You can see it's almost finished too. We have sound baffles in the back, painting. We still got the plastic on the lights. We'll take that at the end. Got the carpets, tables and chairs, so that's coming along real well. This is a picture of the tennis courts as they're starting to prepare the tennis courts for the painting of it. Here they're putting in the primer. That's the finished product. That's our tennis courts. And our colors are red, white, and blue, so that tennis courts reflect our school colors. And that's the main student parking lot. One of the things we want to show here is we've got all our landscapings coming along real well. We lost some time with all the rain. We had to stop. It got pretty muddy in some places, but it's coming along. There's a picture of the old Carmen Avenue on the east side, the main entrance into the school. You can see the school's on the west side. This is looking from the north side of the property back towards Riverbend. We'll probably be paving, if it doesn't rain, next week. And this is looking from the Riverbend side of the military highway towards the entrance. As you can see, the Old Carmen curves. We had to do that so it would meet directly with Mississippi Avenue on the Riverbend side of the road. And that was requested by TxDOT so we could put a traffic light. That was one of their requests. The other thing I want to mention is, as you know, PUB supplying the water for the high school. They started already before we paved. They put the water line underneath this main entrance. They'll go down the west side into our campus and then head east back towards Alton Glory to connect to their main line.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
I talked to PV and they were set back by the rains, but they'll be through by the latter part of November, first part of December, completed with their project.
Right. Yeah, we all got a little delayed with the last 2 weeks with the road construction, some of the landscaping and that type of thing, outside work. Originally, it told me about the end of November, so it's probably slipped into early December, I would think. But I think we're still on time for that. The other project we got there at the high school, as you know, is the lift station, the sewer lift station. That also has been delayed in the back because of the rains, but we got a wet well here. We're probably going to try, if it doesn't rain tomorrow, we'll put it in, put the concrete. This is the pad for the concrete where it's going to sit. So hopefully, I'm hoping that during October we can get the sewer running and be set up for November with the water. Well, December with the water. We do have temporary water right now from Valley Mud number 2. And the sewer lift station will be connected hopefully by the end of October, early November, also to Valley Mud number 2. That pretty much completes the project that we got going on the high school right now. That's the pay applications that we have for the high school. The architect, Gomez Mendez Signs, we have about 97% complete on that. We're probably about 2 weeks away from starting to do the final punch list on the administration buildings and the 2 classroom wings. Those are going to be the first. And we'll probably have 100 things on the punch list. They'll go through that. But I'm thinking probably by November, most of the punch list for the classroom wings and the administration building will be complete. We'll probably go to the cafeteria next, fine arts, and probably the gym will be the last one.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Can you tell us anything about the career technology program? It's not that I'm trying to promote the career technology program, but the thing is that, there's a lot of money spent there on the equipment and the safety and, the building and everything. Do you know anything about the career technology programs, or they're going okay, or there's anything?
I really don't know that much about it.
Okay.
I know Miss Emile has been working on it. She's toured the building with Mr. Reyes and myself. Basically, the building to them is up to par. All the areas are air-conditioned. Where there's welding, there's an exhaust provided to get fumes out. Carpentry, that type of thing. We have dust collectors. So they've toured the building. As far as the facility itself, I don't know of any problems that we have. Now, as far as the career technology program for the students, that I really am not prepared to answer any questions. I really don't know about that.
Okay. Okay, maybe next time, the building or the program, you know, and maybe you can get the career technology person in charge in administration to give us a little thing, what they have received, you know, during maybe the future. Because I want to know about the career technology. I think we all want to know about the career technology program.
Okay. Yeah, we can request it. I know, like I said, Ms. Emil, our principal, has been working with Mr. Reyes on that, and we've toured the building, but exactly what's going to be given, those type of things, they would have to be the persons to answer.
Thanks, sir.
Cesar,
Yes.
going back to the library, how many computers are we're going to be having?
There's 2 computer rooms, and if I'm not mistaken, there's 25 computers in each of the libraries. And that's just, I mean, each room in the library, and that's just in the library.
Okay.
And we do have computer rooms in each of the classroom wings. There's 2 computer rooms in each wing, and there's also 25 computers there. Now, in each classroom, you can also hook up computers. I mean, we're prepared to hook up
With our
computers
tech.
in every classroom if we need to.
Excellent.
The IT department is setting up all the wiring so that if you need to test students in a classroom, you'll have the capability of doing it.
Excellent.
The other slide is the contractors. And there and I'm looking at this because I can't see very well, maybe, so if I make a mistake, but I'm looking at my own sheets here. It's 83% complete, and like I said, we'll probably go for the first punch list walkthrough in about 2 weeks with the architect and with our inspectors on the classroom wings and the administration building. Any questions on the high school before I go to the middle school?
And you mentioned it should be ready hopefully by the end of the year?
They're shooting for probably the administration and the 2 classroom wings for the end of the year or early January to submit substantial completion. It just all depends on the punch list and how fast they can get through it. This is a middle school and elementary combo. This is Keller. You're looking at the main entrance as you go in, and the visitors parking lot on this side. It's just another view of the same main entrance. This is on the east side of the school, be the bus drop-off for the students. The canopy's being done, and we're working on getting all our lighting poles, the supports installed, and working on the paving for the parking lot there. And that's just that same corridor that you're looking in. The cafeteria entrance is on the left-hand side, and in here you go into the classroom wings. You got the pre-kinder and kinder on the right-hand side. This is a view of finishing up the details. This is the other side of the cafeteria, and you got your main courtyard, your classroom wings on the left, and we're looking from the gym towards the cafeteria. And this is the other view looking towards the gym from the cafeteria. And this is area where we'll have trees planted in here. There's different areas where we have trees. And there'll be a sidewalk coming along here into the cafeteria, and there's a canopy that still needs to be installed there. And that's inside the cafeteria. We finally got our skylight installed. That's a view as you're looking up into the skylight. This is as you're coming into the main entrance. I'm sorry, the skylight's in the library. I think I said cafeteria. This is your library here, and then you're walking towards your cafeteria and kitchen area in the back, and your classroom wings on either side. And this is the other side of the library, going into your classroom wings. And that's just as you're coming in, you got your library. If you come in on the left-hand side, you got your main entrance into the administration area, and that's your main reception area. This is something we have talked about. This is the road as you're coming in. You got your, let me just go back. You have your middle school on your left and your elementary on the right. And this originally was going to dead end here and loop back. And I think we've talked the last couple of meetings about a property here that was for sale going out to Frankfurt Street. And I just got notice this morning that all the paperwork has been signed by everybody, the city, everybody needed to agree on it because there was an easement on that property, so you couldn't drive in, but it's been cleared. And there's a closer view. This is the house that we're buying, and the closing will probably be next week. So we already have the architect working on, they had already worked, we had told them to work on joining this part anyway, and they're getting the architect and the general contractor to work on the pricing to actually build the road going out. We have permission from the city to make it in two-way, coming in and going out, whereas on the other side of Paris Street, we can only come in. So this is going to be a big help for us. And our goal is to have this done when we open up Keller early next year.
Question.
Yes, sir.
See if you can do me a favor, and next time that we have a meeting, I'd like to see how much the cost, added cost is going to be by this blunder, that when I made the recommendation when I first saw the plans, I knew this problem was going to arise, and they told me that I was not an engineer, I was not an architect, and that it was not my business. I brought it up, and I was criticized for it. However, if we'd have done that, foreseen that when I mentioned it, we would have saved the taxpayers a lot of money. Now, I'd like to know how much money it's going to take to reroute the roads, because you're changing the roads. The road system is being changed. The architect and the engineers have redesigned it. And this property here is costing, I don't know, $100-something thousand. The one that I suggested had a for sale sign at that time for about $60,000. Had a for sale sign. I gave the information of the real estate broker, all of the information, the address and everything else. It was adjoining the lot that the district already had. So basically, please, when you have a chance, and I noticed there's a change order on changing the awnings from aluminum to some chafa type awning and saving $60-something thousand, doing away with other things to try to make it appear like it's not costing us anything, but it is costing the taxpayers money. So please, if you'd do me a favor to get me that information the next time we meet.
Yes, we'll do our regular contingency change order presentation once we have it, like we do with all the change orders that come up with all the projects. We'll present it to the Bond Oversight Committee just like we do with, and there we'll have the price for extending the road and out to Frankfurt, and we'll get you the price for what the cost was for buying that property.
Thank you.
And this is the other view, as you have your back on the east facing that house going out. I had mentioned this is where the road originally ended and would loop back. So the additional cost would be to bring these lanes out this way, and of course the property that we're buying. And this is going back out toward Alton Glore here. This is Manzano. You're looking at it from the elementary side. You're looking east. Just another view of Manzano. Here you get a little bit clearer picture. Basically, we started working on Manzano from the east side, the classroom wings, main administration, and we're finishing up with a gymnasium. This is the first, this is on the east side of the campus, and you can see this part we're already finishing with a brick installation. It's a view inside our cafeteria there in Manzano. Look, this is looking out from the cafeteria towards the neighborhood. These are the pay applications for the architect. We're at 70%. And I'll mention something on the change orders on the architect's pay applications. And also with the contractors, Coggins, we're also at 70% complete. For let's see. Okay, on the architects, we're 70% on both the schools, and for the Scoggins construction, we're at 66%. These are payments up to last month. Any other questions on the Manzano and
Cesar,
Keller?
I know at one point or another they were having some issues with the change orders with the middle school and the elementary, and with the architect as well. Did they fix all the problems?
If you want me to talk about the change orders now, or you want to wait until we talk?
Well, we'll wait then. So you can give us an up-to-date
where we are
report.
on the change orders that we talked about last time.
Yes, sir. We'll wait.
All right. This is the Mid-Pullum. We had our meeting there before, so you were familiar with it. These are just some of the pictures I think we've shown in the past. Bus drop-off, the cafeteria, the library where we had our meeting 2 months ago, classrooms. We have all our kids there. Actually, we have more kids because we got some of the Keller kids in Pullum, so they're pretty busy. The gym and their mascot in the back, the Cardinal. One other thing I want to mention here, we're almost through. You can see the genetic architects 99%. We had a meeting Monday with the principal, the architects, general contractor, Mr. Espinosa, our construction manager for that project, Mr. Villarreal, who's our inspector, and myself, to go down through the punch list. We had a pretty big punch list, and we were down to 22 items. And we have people working there all the time, after school when the kids are gone, or during the weekend. So hopefully in the next 2 weeks, we should have all the punch lists completed that we went through there. We still have some change orders. I know the committee recommended some additional canopies. We discussed that during the meeting. We're still getting some of the pricing for that. There's some landscaping still pending that we requested. So there's a few change orders that we asked for that we're waiting for the pricing. So that will be ongoing in the next couple weeks too, besides the punch list. But besides that, the building is occupied, it's working, but we are working through the punch list, and we'll be working on the change orders. When we get the pricing, we'll show you, hopefully next month if we have it, what the pricing will be for the change orders that have been requested. And our contractor, Tesla Discount, 94% payment. Part of that too is the retainage that we keep. We keep a 5% retainage, and we'll keep that until the punch list is pretty much complete. And then with the change orders, we might pay half of it because, you know, they'll be complete as far as the original project, But we'll keep the retainage until everything is complete. Any questions on Maripola? I'm just going to mention real quick, unless somebody has any questions on Egley, Palm Grove, and Perez. We actually had meetings, as you recall, both in Perez and in Egley. There's just a few items. I know their carrier is still working on some of the controls with the air conditioning, fine-tuning things, but basically these 3 wings are complete. We have, I know Palm Grove and Egley, I guess we have students, and I'm not sure exactly when, or if they have them already at Perez, but they're close to it. Here are the payments. With the architect, they're at 90%. And let's see, I'm sorry, I got the wrong one here. 99% on the architects and 97% with D. Wilson Construction. Any questions on those 3 wings? Okay, the next one is Canales.
Before you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Concerning about these 3 wings we're talking about, and also some of the other projects too. Every time that we go to a school and we see the principal, they come and they are very happy with the things we have. And then we go outside, we see that they need this, they need that, and there's some things that are not in the right place, but they don't say it on the camera. Is that the role that they play, or they don't want to say anything about what's going on with the project? But just to keep that in mind, let us know next time when we have a principal here, when we go to places and the principal is supposed to say something about the building, please let them know. Do not reserve anything out there. If something is wrong with the building, something is not finished, we need to know. And they tell us over there, but they don't tell us when it comes to the media, to the public. And the principal's supposed to be honest about it. If something's not going right, he's supposed to let us know what's going right or wrong. Okay?
I don't know how to answer that because
just to let you know.
But they should be telling you.
Yeah, if you talk with them, tell them to say the truth. Say the truth. Okay. What's going on with the buildings? Okay.
Cesar, one more thing. I know there was not on the construction. There was a small canopy on Perez Elementary School. They were supposed to get a proposal, I think.
Yeah, they're working on that.
They're working as well,
order, right?
on the change order.
Okay.
It was.
There's one at Egley they're working on, and one for Perez to connect between the 2, the new classroom wing and the existing wings.
Okay.
Anything else? This is Canales. It's the one that's a little bit further behind. This is just a view of, we're getting ready to put the sidewalks in. One of the things we're looking there at Canales too is there's some problems they've had even before we started the wing with the drainage, rainwater. So now that we're putting this new wing, we're looking and see if we can alleviate some of the drainage rainwater problems that they had. And I don't know now if it's not going to be a change order or something we might come, but if it's something we have money for, we can improve with the drainage situation there. I know Mr. Espinosa is working on that right now with the contractor and the architects. So it's maybe just with what we're doing here, maybe add a little bit extra money, and we can maybe alleviate some of the problems we've had in that campus through the years.
Excuse me, Oscar. How much, you're saying you have some problems before with the drainage?
Yes, my understanding was that they had some problems in certain areas of the campus where water would stand for a while. They had a difficulty grading because of the sloping or whatever. So we're going to, here for this project, we already have in our landscaping, you know, we slope so that we can go into the drains and everything. And we're looking, as we're tying in to the existing wings, be sure that if we have standing water now, we're not going to be causing a greater problem with the new wing. We'll get the water out of the new wing, and hopefully we can fix the existing problem. There's a parking lot, and let me see if I can show it. I don't know if it's on here. I think we went in. There's a parking lot that I think has a problem on one end where the water collects and it doesn't drain very well. We'll try to fix that when we finish with this project.
But you're going to wait until the project is complete so you can see especially where to alleviate
Well,
some of the problem.
We got our surveyors looking at it now.
Okay,
They were
good.
out there this morning.
Right.
So they're working
Okay,
right as
excellent.
we speak. Yes.
Working slow.
Excuse me, can you go back 2 slides when we're, next. Okay, you can see the block design there all the way through. Is that the way it's supposed to look, or should be?
They're just putting up. They haven't washed it or anything like that.
No, I mean, you can see where the outline of the blocks. Is it the way that's supposed to be, or should be stucco, or what? Just like that?
No, this needs to be all cleaned up.
No, right there, that yellow, the yellow. You see
Oh.
all that block, you can see.
No, this is an existing wing. This is not part of the new
Oh, it's the old
construction.
New construction, that's the old one.
Oh, I'm
As
sorry,
you-
I thought it was
No. This is a part of the old school.
I'll stand corrected.
This one inside of our classroom is one of our pre-K kindergarten classrooms, would have a bathroom in each classroom. It's just a view of the restrooms for the teachers. Hallways. Another classroom. The applications here, we're at 90% with the architect, Mata Berreal Garcia. And with a contractor, we're at 58%. Any questions on Canales?
Completion day, do you have a date? Do they have a date, the architect?
I'm thinking, from what I was there this morning, I'm thinking it'll be probably around spring break time,
Spring break,
middle of March, sometime around there.
good. Depends on weather.
If we could finish late February, maybe we can move in during the spring break.
Excellent.
Cesar, so
Yes.
y'all just built from the building, you added on to it? Is that what you all did?
No, there's actually going to be a canopy between, you really can't see it from the angle of this picture here. But on the other side, there's an exit to this building, and there's a canopy connecting the 2 buildings, sidewalk and canopy. They're not adjacent one to the other. I mean, touching. There'll actually be there's a separation. It's not a real good angle to be looking at it, but
Both buildings are not attached.
they're not attached.
They look attached.
They look
as
attached.
if they are together, and that,
It's one building, man. It's one of the same building. It has a canopy right there with the.
It's going to this way. The canopy is going, actually, the block, it looks kind of, what Mr. De Leon was referring to, it is a finished block, it's not a raw block. The canopy is going this way towards where the tractor is.
Gonna go out this way?
Yes, yes. That's part of the yellow or the beige one is part of the building, the new building, and it's coming out to.
So it is attached.
It's got an effect, but that's part of the new building and it's attached to the other side.
My other question is going to be, why didn't you not continue with block? It just, to me, it just doesn't,
Mix.
it doesn't look good that way. From
doesn't.
here, I don't know, maybe the finished product, but
It is a finished face block. It is a finished face block. It's not a raw block. It's got a finish to it.
But I mean, the next one is brick, right?
The The next one is red brick, yeah.
But
and-
why did you not continue with the same block to where you would just tie in and looks, to me, it looks, I mean, just looking at the picture, it doesn't look real cool.
Cesar, what was the strategy behind, I know it was a new, the canales, it was something new. What was the strategy behind what we had in the new construction?
I really don't know. I know the architect visited the campus, each campus where we had new wings, and he tried to tie in somehow with the existing architecture. But I really wasn't involved in this project, so I really don't know unless we
details.
ask the architect, you know, why he came up with this design. If you want, we can bring him in next time and have him explain why he went with a brick. That's something we could do.
Mr. Garza, while we're talking about that building, why the shape of the roof? It looks like a chapel. I mean, what is that?
Well, like I said, we can bring in the architect. There's no technical reason why. It's just, that's his design, and he thought, I guess that would make just a, you know,
Cesar, it would be, if you could call the architect,
We can bring
maybe
him in
he can
next
give us
meeting.
an up-to-date presentation, and so we can be more aware and basically his philosophy
this
or his
architect
thinking.
is the same architect that did the Egley, Palm Grove,
Okay.
and Perez Wings, and we can bring him in next
Certainly.
time and have him do a presentation of what his thinking was.
What it
Certainly.
looks like you bought another house and you fit it in there, moved it in.
That section that you're seeing there is kind of the end of the building. But if we were to go this way, the whole building is coming out, and it's got brick, and it's not all block. It's got sections
Bricks.
of the red brick that you see and sections of a window. So maybe that corner, we were trying to take that
Picture.
that section right there, but the rest of the building, it is dressed up with brick and block. And it is a finished block, it's not a gray raw block. But if you go back, you know, next time we can provide a picture of the whole thing where you can see the design also that has red brick. Yeah. It is all around the building is dressed up with brick and block.
Any other questions? Very good, let's move forward. Okay.
Okay, re-roofing projects, we've shown this a couple times. I just want to mention where we are with the Hannah roof. I talked to the architects and the manufacturer, John Manville, and with a general contractor. It looks like the manufacturer is going to give us the warranty as is. They're just doing some additional pull tests on the insulation attached to the concrete. And the initial pull tests that we did when we were building the roof were all above the minimum limits. So hopefully by the next meeting, we can have this completed. The roofs are completed with just a question on moisture on the concrete. Some of that moisture was removed, and if the pull test proved to be above the limits required by the manufacturer, we should be getting a warranty, and the project will be finished in Hannah. That's where we had the problem with this type of vinyl roof. At Stell, Falk, and El Jardín, we have the built-up roofs. The manufacturer has done their walkthrough. They haven't sent their final report, but verbally, I understand they didn't find any deficiencies, so we should be getting a warranty without any problems here. The architect has done a walkthrough with us, and there's some minor punch list items on these campuses. So hopefully, we'll be able to close out this project in the next month.
Have we had any issues with the recent rain?
No, sir, that's a good thing. With all the rain, we actually did the punch list with the architect as we were getting some dry spells between the rains. We had no leaks on any of the new roofs, not on these nor on the Hannah roofs.
Very good.
On here, we're at 93% payment with Amtech Architects and at 84% with a contractor. And we're holding, we're retaining some money. You'll see there's still a lot of money left until we get the final warranties on those Hannah sections of the Hannah roofs that are in question. And then once we get the warranties and we're through, we'll start releasing some money. And the general contractor agreed to that. Any questions on the roofs? Hannah and Hudson and Villanueva, as you know, that's 100% complete. We've gone through everything there. There's still, a year, well, about 9 months of warranty. Somebody was asking me, we had some problems with one classroom. The keys didn't work. We had to change the keys. Minor things. The contractors out there, we have still till April of next year for any warranty issues. Had no leaks on the roofs on here either during the rains. The HVAC, we're basically complete on all the projects. The only thing going on here is the carrier is still working with our energy management people. We have that office in the maintenance that controls all the air conditioning in the different schools. They're basically just adjusting here and there as we go through, and they're still working with us, but the projects are basically complete. Here on the HVAC, the architect, we're still, at 99%, and with the contractor, we're at 93%, basically the retainage. Once our controls are 100%, we'll release the money. Any questions on HVAC? Fire alarms, like I think I mentioned last time, Oscar mentioned they were 100% complete. We only had the ADA inspection to be done. The ADA inspection was completed this past month on all these schools. And there were only 3 items that were brought up. The 3 were additional strobe lights. 1 in Burns and 2 in Clearwater Elementary, which we're installing now. And after that, it will be through. We're connecting with the main police station. That's where all these fire alarms sound, and we have the contractor working there as this month to complete any pending items there at the police station. They're testing all the fire alarm systems, all the lights and whistles go on when they should. So I think by next month, all of that will be taken care of. Payments also were at 99% here with the architect. That's it. We just pending minor items, and at 89 with a contract. From package 1 and package 2, 92%. And that's it on our PowerPoint presentation of the projects. Any other questions?
I have a question. There was some water standing in, I think, one of the schools where they had problems with the ground. Has that been fixed, and was there any problem with the recent rain? Was it at Pettis?
Pettis, yes.
Yes,
I
sir.
don't know.
Pettis.
No problems?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
No problems.
I think when the water was standing, the landscaping was not finished. Now the landscaping is 100% complete. And actually, one of the things that we did on the inspection is to see the water flow, how it was going towards the ditch. So all of that stuff has been completed. When we had the meeting at Perez, there was still a section of landscaping still under construction. But all the gullies and the ditches are being completed. There is no water. Actually, maintenance today is doing another fence there, and the school is totally complete. No issues whatsoever.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? You want to go with contingency?
Yes, sir. Might as well continue.
Okay. If you go through your book, we got our presentation on contingency
The page, Cesar?
page. Well, it'll be the, I don't know, it's page 1, I guess we started.
Okay.
Be the first change order. This change order is at Veterans Memorial High School, and it's for our lift station. When we did the initial design for our lift station, we weren't sure who was going to provide the power. Was it going to be AEP, PUB? Were we coming directly from PUB lines? Were we going to come out from the loop that we have in the high school? Because at that time, we didn't know exactly what the power requirements were going to be for the lift station. The requirement for the lift station, when it's bidded out, was for so many gallons per minute, but you don't know exactly until you get your submittals from the contractor exactly how much power the pumps are going to be pulling. So we left a contingency. Once we found out, we went back to AEP and PUB, and the cheapest was to pull the power from our internal loop in the high school, from one of the transformers there. So this change order for $12,599 is for the trenching, the conduits, to go from that transformer to the lift station. PUB will pull all the wiring themselves at no cost to us. Any questions on that?
You said it no cost to us, right? It's coming on
PUB,
behalf
no,
of PUB.
We just have to pay for the trenching, and there's 2 4-inch conduits that we have already installed there. The only thing that we're missing because of the rains is 2 concrete pads, one for a pull box and one for the PUB transformer that we're putting in there.
Okay.
A small transformer to power just that lift station. The wiring and installation, that's PUB's, that's at their cost.
Responsibility.
The next one on page 3, that's a change order we did on the re-roofing for $1,165. There we had the main power going into some switchgear in the administration building that when we did the re-roofing was going to be a problem with leaks. So we had PUB, we shut down the power for a couple days before school started and fixed the problem. As you come into the main administration building switchgear, so that the roofer could put his flashing and seal around it and not have any power problem, any water problems. The power's turned on without a problem, and with this range we have no leaks. The cost for that to PUB was $1,165. You have all your backup information there. Any questions on that one? Okay, page 7. There's the one that Oscar had been talking to you for a while on Keller Elementary. You recall there were some errors in the design by BBK, mostly in the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. I think 2 months ago, Oscar mentioned that PBK had stated that they would pay 10% of the cost because these items were not in the original bid, so BISD was not paying for them in the original bid. And then after the next month, they came back and said, well, we agreed to 15%. This change order we took to the facilities committee of the board about 3 weeks ago. It was discussed with the architect. We had the general contractor there. They did a presentation, Mr. Tapia and ourselves with them. And what the facilities committee agreed was to go ahead with the change order, because if not, it was going to delay the construction of the school. And our lawyers, Wallace Anderson, would review the contract and the change order and decide on what the correct percentage should be. At this time, the change order has been approved. They're working on all these items. And I talked to our lawyers in San Antonio just yesterday. They're reviewing. We've sent them all the contract information, this change order with all the backup, all the details. And right now they didn't have an answer for me. They're trying to look at all the legal aspects of it, and they'll come back for a recommendation to our school board as to what percentages should be paid by PBK and what percent BISD would be responsible for, because we never paid for it in the beginning.
So what we're looking at is what PBK has agreed to pay.
They agree. PBK said, first they said 10%, and then last month they said 15%, but when we went to the board, to the facilities committee, subcommittee from the school board, they said, we want this to be looked by our lawyers and see what the percentage should be that PBK should pay.
If I could remember correctly, I know there was a conference in between the attorneys, the architects, and PBK as well. And Oscar, I think he was based on these figures or these figures. He said that they had negotiated already. It was about 2 months ago. The key, it was stop the construction for a while because of too many issues that were involved based on the builder and the architects. And I know he had a conference with everybody, and he gave us the report. And I think the conclusion was it was close to 100,000 based on his figure, or a little bit over 100,000, if I could remember correctly.
Well, just to do some history, we did have meetings with PBK, their corporate architects from Houston and San Antonio. At that time, no lawyers were involved.
Okay.
It was just between us, the architect, and the general contractor. And initially, we were talking $400,000.
I remember high volume.
It was a higher, real high amount. But as we went through each item, some items we were able to fix without any cost to anybody. Some other items, the price was lowered. And if you look at some of the backup, you'll see where numbers are scratched off on some of these items. There's all the backup is in here. As we were negotiating with a contractor and say, wait a minute, we think we can do this. Can you do it for a lower price? And actually it took months and months. So we did have negotiations, but it was just between the architect, the contractor, and ourselves.
Cool.
And at the end of the day, we put everything down, and that's the number that we came up with. And now this is what is now being looked at by our lawyers.
Excuse me, my question is going to be the following. If the architect and the engineer and the contractor agreed to build that school as it was, they should have foreseen the problem to begin with. And they should be liable, not the school district. They should pay in full. I don't see why the taxpayer should pick up the tab. I don't see how the rest of the members feel.
Going to be handled by the attorneys, is that not correct?
Right.
Okay, so let's let that.
Yeah, I mean, if it was up
Legal.
to us,
Right.
yeah, we'd say, we're not
Continue.
responsible, but I don't know legally, because some things were not in the original bid. Okay, let me give you an example. For example, that first item for the $9,495, there were no water and sewer connections from the main loop into the gym. It was an omission from the architect. Okay?
That's the architect's responsibility.
Okay, correct, I agree. But their view is, okay, we made a mistake, we'll,
Negotiate.
help with some of the payment of those $9,000, but the contractor never included that in their bid, so nobody's paying for it. So, I mean, I'm just trying to give you
Right,
both
some
sides.
examples, right.
I'm not saying I agree with them or
Well,
anything, it's just,
the way we discussed it last time, my understanding was that we're gonna pay for material that we would have paid anyways, what it would have been the property. The issue I had, and I don't have a problem with that, as far as a member of this committee, the concern I had was when PBK was gonna pay for all the demolition expenses, which are added expenses in order to install the material that was supposed to be installed originally. Now, if it's material that should have been bid for originally, I don't think that should be a problem, because we would have to pay for that normally. Now, any additional expense because of that mistake, I do agree they should be liable. For example, demolition costs. One item I look at here that causes concern for me, and maybe that's how you can share some light on it, is number 7, which is the most expensive one, where it says provide costs for relocating condensing units. So that means they're already located somewhere. Why are we paying $83,000 to relocate?
and this was a design problem because of the units were too far away to where we had to go with the condensation lines.
Now, see, in a case like that, where there's a design flaw by the architects, and then I agree they should pay for 100% of the cost.
Exactly. They would not have to tear into the building or whatever had they foreseen that problem. But apparently they missed a boat and they put the horse before the carriage.
And, looking just from an engineering standpoint, myself, I agree with everything you said, but I don't know legally what the circumstances would be.
Right now, it's in the legal, it was sent to the legal department, correct?
Yes, we had a
Okay.
meeting last week, and they requested all the information. We sent everything up to them. I talked to the Walsh Anderson lawyer up in San Antonio yesterday, and they're reviewing it. So some of these items, they might say, hey, PBK is 100% responsible. And some other items might say, well, like the demolition, even before PBK had agreed, any demolition and repairs, they would have to pay 100%. So I think that's a given. And then
Understand.
the material that we never had in the bid to begin with that we have to pay, well, maybe we don't pay 100%. We only pay 80 because with the change order, it's obviously going to be a little bit more expensive than if it was included in the original bid. But that, that's what the lawyers are looking at. Each of these items is a little different. So you really can't say, well, everything is like half and half or 100%. So it's being studied, and that's all I can say right now. I don't know what the outcome's going to be.
Keep us up to date on a monthly basis, the report on what's going to be the outcome, especially on the legal side.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
right.
we'll keep you
Yes, sir.
informed.
Paying
too.
for the lawyers.
Who's paying for the lawyers? I believe the school district with the taxpayers.
There we go.
Let us know how much money we're spending on lawyers, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Actually, I don't think that's part of the bond issue, so, that's something that
The administration.
this administration should take care of anyways.
I also understand there's lots of technicalities we can't get into because of legal issues. So as much as we can without affecting, any legal outcome, please provide us the information, but I definitely leave that up to the discretion of the administration as to how much we discuss that may be pending legal issues for the district.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Cesar.
Okay. And there's a lot of information there in the back of all the backup material. The next change order goes all the way to page 52. Everything else is backup material for that. MEP change order.
Okay, 52, yeah.
This is another change order at Keller Elementary. And this one, we've had a lot of these items pending until we saw the other change order. We just wanted to be sure what money was available in our contingency. So you'll see, even worst case, if we had to pay the total of the previous change order, the $173,000, which I'm sure is not going to be the case, we still have $49,000 left over in our contingency fund. So we went ahead, there was a list that was compiled by the different departments, including the principal, and we went ahead and approved this change order that was requested by BISD. The first item is the smart boards. That's something that's coming along. I guess future elementaries we design will be no more marker boards as we have now. It'll all be smart boards. So the rough end for the smart boards on all the classrooms, that was $3,500. Next item is at the main door entry. This is something our police department requested. They're putting these on all the campuses now. It's mainly for security, where you ring the button, the receptionist inside can see you through the camera, see who you are. So we're adding that to all our schools now too. That's $6,500. The next one is really, it's not a closet. That's a bad word to use. It's a storage room that was requested for the principal for files. It's an additional room, really, where there was like a waiting area, sitting area. We converted that to additional room. You'll see the backup. It's a room that has to have air conditioning, fire sprinkler system, and of course lighting and electrical outlets. Item 4, request to add a window in the workroom in the library so that the librarian have, she was working in her workroom. We do have one window now. They requested a second window to be able to see if any children come into the library while she's working. Item 5, that's requested by our food services. That's something we're doing on all our schools now. You recall we did it on 142 also, and on the schools where we didn't have a spec, we're putting additional ceramic tile. It's not requested per se by code, but it helps us maintain the kitchens clean, safe from bacteria or anything. So we're going along and doing that on all our new schools, is adding tiles to the kitchen area. Number 6, we deleted some sidewalks that were not needed. We went with the principal, walked all around the school, and then we added a new walkway and canopy to the gym. I mentioned we had one on the cafeteria side going to the gym there at Keller. This is when the principal walked it. He requested a new one from the 4th and 5th grade classroom wings to the gym. So you have 2 covered walkways from the school to the mini gym. And the last one is also in the library. It's a change there. This door actually has a window in it in the office, so they can, the same thing, the librarian's by herself. She can see the library from all parts of her office and see if anybody comes in.
Cesar, can you tell us a ballpark figure on how far back on the completion date the mistakes by PBK has set the construction at?
Originally, when we make a little bit of history, we wanted to open the school in August, like all the 3 elementaries. This school, when we finally were able to start, it was in July. We got a little bit delayed getting it off the ground because of Dolly. So really, we have about 2 months delay because of the weather. And we had hoped to open around early October. When we went to the facilities subcommittee, to the board, that was one of the questions they brought up. And the contractor and the architect saying, once these change orders, these mechanical change orders that we had a problem with, were authorized, they promised to have it substantially complete by the middle of December, so we could meet the opening of the school, first school day in January. So that's our goal right now.
My concern is if the mechanical changes add, and again, I don't know, but the mechanical changes that,
It'll add about another 2 months to the, instead of substantially completing in October, we're going to be substantially completing in December.
is that because of weather and the changes, or just, I'm just referring to the omissions made by PBK.
It'll be 2 months.
Now, I know that there is a penalty per day that the construction is not completed. Is PBK going to pay that?
That's something that's also got to be looked at by our lawyers. There is a contract there for after you add all the rain days, your substantial completion date moves to that date, and that date is, I don't know exact date, but it's in October, around the middle of October. So because of the problem with PBK, we go to the middle of December. That's 60 days, and that's something we've got to look at because the contractor's really not at fault.
Correct.
So, and that's been mentioned to PBK also. Any other questions on these change orders to Keller? And also on this one, there's a lot of backup information that you can look through. If you have any questions, we can answer them next meeting. That's it on the change orders that we have.
Thank you, Cesar.
Go to the financial report?
Yes, sir. The financial report.
Tony's here.
Mr. Fuller.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Fuller.
Okay, I believe the financial report starts on page 79 of your book. Basically, it's the same format that we've presented for the last probably 6 or 8 months. The first one is Proposition 1. Again, it's the 2 new elementary schools. This is Pullum Elementary. We had a few payments. We had a GIGNAC a payment, and we also had a payment for the contractor at the bottom of the page, you can see. Right now, we do have a balance of about $863,000 left in that project, that one elementary school. Okay, on the next page, again, this is still Proposition 1. Now this is Thomas Keller Elementary School. No payment for PBK, and we did have one payment for Scoggins Contractor. And this one right now, as of the September 30, we have about $557,000 left in this project. Again, we're holding money just in case we do need some sort of contingencies. On the next page, Proposition 2, this is Manzano Middle School. We had no payment to the architect and one payment to the contractor, Scoggins. Right now, we're looking at about $750,000 in this project for funds available. Next page is Veterans Memorial, which is a high school, Proposition 3. We had one payment to Gomez Signs and one payment to the contractor, Wilson. And in this right now, we have about $9.5 million, but we do still need to adjust the purchase order for the contractor. So, next page. Proposition 4, these are all the upgrades that we had, wing additions, re-roofs, windstorm shutters, and so forth. Pretty much these projects are winding down, but we do have about $1.6 million left over in this proposition from all these projects. And the next page is just a summary of all the propositions 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're at about $145 million now total bond costs. And again, we're going to be using some interest that's been earned on this $135 million. So that's where the difference is going to be made up from. That's about it on the summer. Is there any questions?
Has the lower interest rates that are now in the United States helped or hurt you concerning the interest earned?
Well, it has helped and it hurt. One, we're not earning as much interest as we did in the past, but because of the lower interest rate, what our Wildane Financial, the one that did the arbitrage calculation, said it could help you in the long run when we do the 5-year calculation at the end. So they said because you're only getting 6.6% right now compared to 4.75 we got for about 3 years. So.
And can you give us an estimate as are we going to be having enough money from the contingency, the arbitrage to cover the $15 million, I believe that was exceeding our original budget?
Yes, sir. Basically, that $15 million will be covered from the interest that we've made so far on the investment, and also $3.5 million from the 1997 bond issue. Those are some residual interest that's been earned. We're also going to put into place in this bond issue, and then we've also kind of, again, working with our bond counsel, Fulbright Jaworski. We're also looking at some of these funds in the elementary schools. Those funds can also be then rechanneled into the high school. So yes, we'll have enough funds to finish out the high school and all the other projects.
Okay, thank you.
And then probably some left over. I think that report we showed last first part of September, it was about a little shy of $2 million that's what we're estimating right at this point in time.
Mr. Fuller, once all the constructions, all the bonds is complete, we have to let the public know before we do any transfers, right?
Yes, basically the bond covenants state that we have to fulfill our obligation
Okay.
as we set in the propositions. We have to do the two elementary schools, we have to do the middle school, the high school, and all those upgrades, wings, and so forth. Once we fulfill that, or we show that we have purchase orders in place, which is an obligation,
Certainly.
then now we can start looking at the verbiage with bond councils to move these funds around for other projects. They have to qualify for IFA.
How much money you said we paid the IRS for this?
From the inception of the $135 million, which was in October 2006 through December 2008, we set aside about $2.3 million for arbitrage. And that left us about $11 million to work with in the program itself.
Mr. Fuller, how close are we on Proposition 4 to finalizing the financial expenditures in order to know how much we will be able to transfer?
I think those projects are pretty much done. I know the wings are already in place. There may be, now Cesar, you may correct me, have we done all the HVAC phases, 1, 2, and 3?
Yeah, that's correct. Like I mentioned in the PowerPoint presentation, of the wings, Canales is probably the last one. That's going to be March when we finish that, but everything else, the re-roofing hopefully will be through, the HVACs and the fire alarms, we're basically done. So I don't think there's any surprises that we haven't contemplated.
So basically, right now, we're looking at about $1.6 million funds available. Now, when we finalize the last payment to the contractors and architects, if there's any contingency funds that are not used, then it's going to add to this $1.6 million. So
we're in pretty good shape then.
yes, sir.
If you recall, last month, Oscar showed the closing of the payments to the architects and the contractor at Hudson in Villanueva, and there was a change order where we got back $159,000 from that contingency fund. I think the original contingency was like $200,000. We did spend some money on improvements, so we got back $159,000, and that's closed as far as payments and everything. So it depends until we finish the project. We really don't know how much we're getting back, but there's money coming back from the contingency.
Any other questions we can answer for you? All right, well, I want to thank you and have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Appreciate it. Good report. Any old business?
There was one item on old business, there was a request. You'll find that on page 85. There's a request on the properties that were bought for the schools that we're building, mainly the high school, the two elementaries, and the middle school. So you'll see first for the Veterans Memorial High School, the number of acres, the dollar amounts that were paid per acre, who we purchased the properties from, and if there was an appraisal done on the property. I think those were the items that were requested.
Thank you, Cesar, for providing the information. The reason I asked for this is this is public information, and I know that a lot of us were not here in the original committee, and that is why I did ask. And anything I think that the district does, as far as monies are concerned, and when we spend the money, that is public information, and we do have a right to access that information. Thank you.
I notice that on the information that we have here on money spent on Manzano and Keller, Keller says that for the land is spent $1,053,000. Is that correct? That's Keller, right?
Yes, sir. That's $1,958,000.
No, $1,053,935 is what paid for the land?
The dollar price, if I'm seeing, Mr. De Leon, is $1,958,000. That's 45.
No, I'm looking at this information here.
Oh,
Right there. Page 80.
80.
At 1,053,935, is that what's been
Yeah,
paid
what-
for that land?
What's reported on page 80 is land, but also it could be some improvements that were also in that account.
What do you mean improvement? I thought that's payment for the purchase of the land.
Original. Well,
Original.
it includes land and any type of improvement to the land. Let's say if we had to do some trenching or some, and I don't know all the terms that they use, but it's also in that account.
Okay, I didn't understand that because it just, the numbers didn't add up. There was a difference of $274,000 versus, it's a lot of money for improvements.
Again, sir, that account for any type of land or land improvements goes into the account. And that's the account code that we, school districts use.
Now, it says that you had an appraised value on this. Who was the appraiser?
I'm not, I think it's in the backup information. It's Robinson, Duffy, and Bernard. It's there on page 87.
Because I have the original deal from 2006 that were received at that time, the ones that were fortunate enough to be here at that time. Now, I see that they were giving us a information as to if they were going to buy, it's around here somewhere. Here, for example, price per lot, 29,000. Number of lots per acre, 5 to 6. Potential cost per acre, 145,000 to 174,000. I mean, they just, I guess they were just trying to make us appear like we could settle for $35,000, $40,000 an acre. That's what was the impression that I got at that time. I never said anything, but it's on black and white here. Possibly you all weren't here at that time, but there was some things that happened there on the purchase of that particular property that was brought up by an individual at that particular time, and it was a flip-flop on the purchase of that property. Somehow or other, they felt that that particular person felt that they had gotten previous information, and it was bought from the original owner and immediately sold to the BISD. We need to check it out.
I'm a little confused now. I mean, you brought up a good point there, Mr. De Leon. Ms. Scully, did you request the information of the land, or did you ask for the land plus improvements? Because I'm confused also. Because
I just requested I do have it on my notes, matter of fact. How many acres were purchased for Proposition 1, 2, 3, and 4? And how much was for each acre was spent? And who did BISD buy the properties from?
I'm confused because I would expect the figures to match up. I know that says improvements
They
also.
don't
but
add up.
They don't.
We have $958,000 in improvements. I mean, is there somehow you can explain that maybe further to because you're giving us $1,958,000, $45,000 per acre. Yet on the breakdown on page 80, it says land $1,053,000. I understand that there's some improvements to the land, but we're almost looking at double the amount for improvements. Is that correct?
Yes.
If I could read this letter that was in 2006 from Tapia.
That's fine. Let him respond first.
Let me answer.
Okay, let him
What I'll do,
respond.
let me go ahead and research it, but I'd have to go back and look at, see, I don't know what document that, I know what she asked for, but that's for both pieces of property. So you have to tie in the Keller land and your Manzano land, because they sit on one. But I will look into it a little further, and I'll get you an answer for next meeting that we have in November.
So on the Manzano Middle School and Thomas Keller Elementary, it's 43.483 acres, is that correct? Is that together?
Yeah, that's the total property. That's what Mr. Fuller was mentioning. The total dollar amount was $1,958,000.
That's not what it says here.
But if you go back on page,
Go back to page 80 and 81, you have the Keller and Manzano. And it'll add up to about $2 million. So there's a difference.
It's about $2.2 million, but again, my report is not just showing the land separate. I'm putting, because of our account code structure, any type of land or land improvements goes into the same account code. So that's why my numbers are about $250,000 higher than what he's reporting here for just land only. Okay, so, but I'll go back and we'll look into the account, and I'll come back next meeting and I'll give you basically
report.
detailed out the land and improvements and.
Certainly, we really appreciate that.
No problem.
I know I asked this question to Oscar. There was no appraisal was required, especially for the high school. And I don't remember the answer, and an appraisal, I know it was very important. I know that's the very first one. Any property you buy, you have to ask for an appraisal, but I know he gave me an answer, and I don't remember. I just want this committee to know. I know you were not here. I know he did a presentation, and that was one of my questions, an appraisal. Every time you buy a property or real estate, you have to ask for an appraisal so you can have an idea. But I know he gave me the answer, but I don't remember, and I would like this committee to know as well. If you could remember, if you could call Oscar as well.
We'll try to get an answer.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Cesar.
Doctor, I'm glad you brought this thing up. I'd been in the back of my mind. We paid a lot of money for this property, and if you can recall that there was just one entrance and one exit, whoever was in charge, whether it's a responsibility of the people on the board, members of the Board of Trustees, superintendent, or whoever was assigned this responsibility, should have foreseen that problem that arose by just having that entrance on Alton Gloor. But putting that aside, there's something that I'd like to suggest, what you mentioned right now. I respectfully suggest that a policy and procedure be implemented for the further purchase of land for BISD prior to entering into any agreement in the acquisition of real estate. That 2 independent knowledgeable appraisals be contracted to advise BISD as to the estimate value of said property. This is a common practice used by cities, counties, states, and federal governments. So, and we do not have that in this BISD. So that leads to mistrust of the taxpayers' money. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leon. Doctor, you wanted to mention something?
No.
You did? Okay.
I'd like to say that I remember when Mr. Tapia brought up the purchase of the land, and it was understood it was above appraised value. And the justification for that was that there would be millions saved in not busing the students, which would have been required had this land not been available. And so the justification was the savings in busing, because if the kids are in the same neighborhood, you don't have to bus them. But if there's a highway between where the kids live and the school, then we're required to bus them, and that could be very costly. So that was, I remember, a justification for paying more than the appraised value, because this is in the middle of a neighborhood.
Mr. Peña, you're in real estate, am I correct?
So I'm in real estate?
No.
Oh, I am.
You are. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. Now, it's only hearsay that that particular property we're talking about that she brought up, that was owned by the heirs of the Carnesi family. Okay? And that it was entered into contract, and within a month that the person that bought that land immediately sold it to the BISD for a sizable amount of profit. Now, we need to look into that and ask some questions, because this is what I was told.
Well, what I can tell just from the seller here, he was developing, El Valle was developing all that land for housing. It turned out that he hadn't started developing this particular 43 acres, for example, and was approached by BISD. If he could have decided, as I remember, to continue building his houses, which may have made him more money than selling it to BISD, I don't know. But the idea that someone profited unduly and had a quick flip sale is something that I have not heard. I've not heard the rumor, and I know the developer that this is not something he would practice doing. So he was intending to develop the land. He owned it for housing. He buys land to develop residential lots. That's his business, not selling to schools. And BISD requested this land because of the neighborhood attractiveness of it. So I dispute that, because I don't know, but I dispute it.
Yeah, like I said, it was brought up by certain individuals at that particular time. You may remember I was here, and he questioned that particular situation, but no, we didn't pay attention to it at the time, and that you brought it up, Doc, because that's been in the back of my mind.
We have building laws in other areas. There's building laws. So if a developer comes in and does put in so many houses, that they have to somehow assure that there would be a school or land left for a school. Is that?
Not in this case. In this case, most of the subdivisions, sometimes they donate the property for the school or park as well. Not in this case. I think in this case, it was purchased from him at this price.
So do we always buy land? Oh, sorry. Do we always buy land that a developer has made a subdivision in?
Well, when this issue came up, I was really adamant, and I was asking the same questions and really dug into a little bit, but I actually got a pretty detailed explanation that even though I don't agree exactly why all these schools were placed, but there's also logistical issues you have to look at, lift stations, electricity. So if they're looking, the way it's explained to me is that we're not only looking for value of the land. We have to look where buildings that are going to house 800 kids, 1,200 kids, the infrastructure is already there. Because if we try to build, and I went into like, what's the 10-year plan for the county? What's the 10-year plan for the city? Let's look where subdivisions are going to grow. Let's place the schools out there. Let's be proactive. That way we don't have busing issues, because we're going to build all these schools on Alton Glory, and we're still going to have to bus all these kids from all these subdivisions that are being built out on the outskirts of the city. Well, there was more to that, because if the school goes out there and puts a school according to the 10-year plan, well, PUB or whoever may be providing the infrastructure hasn't caught up yet. Well, then we're stuck with a nice brand new building and no electricity, no sewers, and then the cost of having to run all that for the school district, it would be exponential. So then I was torn about that, and it just happens, I mean, whoever owned the property happened to be in the right place at the right time. I mean, that's what I chalked it up to. I wish it could have been me.
Business transaction. Any other questions?
I'd like
Yes,
to,
sir.
Other than just making it public, what are we looking to gain? And going back to finding out what the purpose of buying or selling it?
It's already been.
Are we looking at knocking down the buildings and selling the land and going someplace else? I mean, I don't know what the purpose is, other than coming out and making it public.
I think it was a question. The doctor requested that information.
No. This is fine here, but Mr. De Leon keeps saying we need to investigate that. We need to investigate that. What's the purpose?
Does it bother you by us asking questions?
No. I want to know what's the purpose.
We need to learn by experience.
We need to learn by our mistakes. In other words, for example, I guarantee you that fiasco is going to cost us over $400,000 by not foreseeing that we needed to find an exit and entrance to the backside. It was common. As soon as I saw those plans, and I'm not an engineer, and you told me that some time ago, and I said, I don't need to be an engineer to figure it out. I just looked at the plans and I knew that you don't put all those 1,000 homeowners on Alton Glory, turn in 4-6 blocks, and then turn into to that complex, and then come out in the same direction. It just accidents fixing to happen. So you could foresee that you needed an entrance and exit to the back. Why they didn't see it, I do not understand. And unfortunately, he should already gone. He should have known that. He sat on the board, and I brought it up to him at that time, but they didn't listen. And but that's the way it is. We learn from our mistakes, and we try not to make them again, because it's taxpayers' money.
Good point, Mr. DeLeon.
Very good.
For the record, Dr. Gully, this was excellent information that was requested, and I believe that you're absolutely right when you say that all this information should be brought to the public.
Any other questions? Let's move to the other item. That's the new business. Any new business? Cesar?
We already gave the formal
Yeah.
welcome to our new board members, so.
The new business.
Speech.
Once again, welcome to this committee. We want to welcome you on behalf of the Brownsville committee as well, and the community, I'm sorry, Brownsville community as well. Welcome.
If there's anything that you need to be brought up to speed on, I'm sure any member of the administration will be more than happy to bring you up to speed with copies of past meetings, the DVDs, or I myself personally, I'm available if you need to be brought up to speed on it.
One more thing I'm going to request, if we can provide them with the bylaws, so they can provide a copy, please.
We have copies here. Before you leave, we can give you a copy of the bylaw.
Thank you, Cesar.
I would like to have an answer. I remember that after this purchase of land occurred, the city of Brownsville was looking into the requirement for developers of certain number of acreage to provide land either to be purchased at a fair price or to be donated, and I don't remember what happened to that. And I'd like perhaps either somebody from the city of Brownsville or somebody concerned with this, so that we don't find ourselves in the same position when a developer is going to develop 300 acres for housing, that they don't be required to leave some land to be purchased or donated for schools. So, and I remember there was some effort in the city to do something like that. I wonder what happened to that. So maybe at the next meeting, we could have that answer for us. Either there is nothing, or there's something in the plans, or there is something in the books.
We'll try to find out through our contacts at the city where that situation is.
Any more questions? Any public comments?
And I just want to give my personal thanks to Mr. Tapia, wherever he may be tonight. When I know Mr. DeLone feels the same way, but we met with him on some issues, and we asked him the hard questions, and he never took personal offense. I even questioned him about the dates of the pictures, and saying, you're showing us pictures. And he had a good answer for me, and I appreciate that he never took that personally, and he did his job well, and we're going to miss him.
Yes, sir, I agree with you. Meeting to adjourn. Need a motion by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Mr. Peña. Thank you, everybody, once again.
All right.